Welcome to the Explainer. So let me ask you a question. What are you worth when a machine knows pretty much everything? Today we're going to break down Professor Po-Shen Loh's surprising answer for how we can all succeed in a world totally dominated by AI.
So, let's kick things off with a story that just perfectly nails the weird new world we're in. Professor Loh tells this story about a student who found a very, let's call it, creative way to make some cash over his winter break.
So the student, he logs onto tutor.com, one of those sites where you can get paid to help people with their homework. But his secret weapon? Yeah, it was ChatGPT.
And his system was brilliant, really. He would just copy a question from the site, paste it into ChatGPT, and then, get this, he'd ask the AI to double-check its own work. Once it looked good, he'd just type it out himself, and boom, he raked in $600 in less than 10 minutes. Of course, the site figured it out pretty quick and shut him down.
I mean, this whole thing is a bit of a gray area, ethically speaking, right? But it brings up this huge question. If an AI can do that, what's the point of a person just knowing stuff?
Right, so let's dig into this idea of the $600 AI tutor, because this whole thing, it wasn't just some kid pulling a fast one. Nope, it was a sign of a massive shift. A shift that Professor Loh saw coming a mile away. You see, he was on a university scholarship committee, and he saw the problem immediately. I mean, if AI can spit out a perfect university-level essay in seconds, what's the point of even asking students to write them anymore? The whole way we think about education, it just got turned upside down.
And hey, don't just take his word for it. Look at the data from OpenAI themselves. GPT-4 absolutely crushes pretty much any standardized test you throw at it. We're talking top percentile scores on the bar exam, AP art history, you name it. It just knows more than most of us. But then you get to that last bar on the chart.
So what's that little bar? Well, that's creative math. We're talking high-level competitions like the AMC-12. And here, AI doesn't just do okay. It bombs. It fails. And for Professor Loh, a math guy through and through, this was it. This was the crack in the AI's armor. Okay, so we're cracking AI's code here. The big question is, why? Why does it fall flat on its face with this creative math stuff? Well, the answer, it's not just about AI's biggest weakness. It's about our single greatest strength. It's because the problems in these competitions are totally new. They're designed to be tricky, to require a spark of ingenuity, a way of thinking that no one has ever tried before. You literally can't look up the answer in a textbook because the solution doesn't exist yet.
And that right there, that is the key. You have to understand, AI is an incredible tool, but it's built entirely on the past. It's trained on this massive library of everything humans have already figured out. What it can't do, what it's fundamentally incapable of, is coming up with a truly new idea. It can't solve a problem it's never seen before.
So this is where we find our edge, the human advantage. It's in that gap, right? The space between all the knowledge that already exists and the brand new ideas that haven't been thought of yet. That's our territory. And this is why Professor Loh doesn't think AI is here to replace us. Not at all. He sees it as a tool, a catalyst. It's here to handle all the boring stuff, all the existing knowledge, so that we humans can be freed up to do what we're really good at, coming up with new stuff. Okay, so if that's the future, how do we get ready for it? Well, Professor Loh says we need a whole new way of thinking about education. Forget memorizing dates and formulas. AI can do that in a nanosecond. Instead, we need to double down on the 3 core skills that are, uniquely human. All right, so this is the future-proof skill set. We need creative problem solving, deep humanity, and powerful communication. Sounds great, right? But how on earth do you teach that? Well, Professor Loh's method is, let's just say, a little out of the box. Think about it. We usually split people into 2 camps, right? On one side, you've got the nerd, the analytical genius who can solve any problem, but maybe can't explain it to you. And on the other side, you've got the performer, the storyteller, the person who's super charismatic, but maybe doesn't have that deep technical know-how. So to bridge that gap for his students, and remember, these are some of the smartest math kids in the entire country. He does something, well, something no one would ever expect. He hires professional comedians and actors. Seriously. Why? To teach these math wizards how to perform, how to tell a story. The whole goal is to create a new kind of person, someone who's both the nerd and the performer. Somebody who can have that world-changing idea, but can also walk onto a stage, explain it with passion, and get an entire room of people excited to build it with. And look, this isn't just some crazy academic theory. It's real-world wisdom. I mean, listen to Warren Buffett. For decades, he's been saying that the single best way to make yourself more valuable is to get better at communication, period.
So let's think about this. What happens when you take someone with a world-class, genius-level technical brain and you give them world-class communication skills? You get what Professor Loh calls dangerous people.
There's this great story he tells about a city mayor who saw his students presenting. And after seeing these kids just effortlessly break down super complex problems and then lay out these incredible solutions, the mayor walked right up to him.
And of course, he meant dangerous in the best way imaginable. Because these students weren't just smart, they were effective. They had the brains to understand a problem deeply and the charisma to get other people fired up to go solve it. That's a powerful combination. They could actually make things happen.
And that combination is so powerful, so potent, that Professor Loh says the number one thing he looks for in his program isn't a perfect score on a math test. Nope. The most important requirement is that the student is a good person. Because if you're going to create these dangerous people, you have to be absolutely sure they're going to use those powers for good.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. The old game is over. All of human knowledge, everything that's already been figured out, it's basically free now thanks to AI. So knowing things isn't the skill anymore. The real question, the one that's going to define your life and our future, is this: what new idea will you bring to the world?